Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is T of the FTK Crochet brand and I'm back with another tutorial. Today we are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful top. It is a step-by-step detailed tutorial, so it is beginner friendly. If you are new to crochet, this is something you can actually make for yourself or for your loved one. I used both the single crochet stitch and the V stitch to create this one. So without further ado, let us get into today's tutorial. But before we get into today's tutorial, please subscribe to my channel because you don't want to be missing out on all the beautiful tutorials here. All right? Okay, so these are the materials you are going to need for this project. You are going to need your yarn, of course. I'm using the orange color yarn on this one, and this yarn happens to be an acrylic 2-ply yarn, so I'll be putting 2 strands together to make it 4-ply. All right, but you can go ahead to use whatever yarn that makes you feel comfortable. All right, so you are going to need a scissors, you are going to need a tapestry needle, some stitch markers, you're going to need a measurement tape, very important. And on this project I'm going to be working with a 4.5mm hook size. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so the measurement you are going to need for this top is going to be your bust measurement minus 10. All right, and the length that you want your top to be on. So when you get your bust measurement, you minus 10 out or more, depending on how much back you want to leave out. Okay, so on this project we are going to be working vertically. Okay, so the chain we are going to be making now is going to be the length of your top. Okay, okay, so I'm done with my foundation chain and I ended up making 30 chains. All right, so I'm okay with these 30 chains. These 30 chains gave me exactly 7.5 inches. Okay, so 7.5 inches, this is where I'm going to be stopping now. But if you want yours longer, you can actually go ahead to add more chains on your own. All right, but me, I'm just going to be stopping on these 30 chains. All right, so now to begin the row 1, you are going to chain up 1, skip that 1 stitch, and on the next stitch you are going to be going in there with 1 single crochet, and on the next stitch you're going to be going in there with 1 single crochet, and on the next you're going to be going in there with 1 single crochet. So for this row 1, you're just going to be putting in 1 single crochet on each of the stitch until you get to the end of this row. All right, so when I get to the end here, I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now. So to begin the row 2, you are just going to chain up 1, turn your work to the other side. So on this very first stitch, you're going to be doing a regular single crochet on this stitch, but on the next stitch you are going to be working the back loops only. All right, so this is how you work your back loops. Please just watch what I'm doing. Okay, so you turn your work to the top like this, and you see these 2 lines you see here. So instead of going to the normal stitch right here, you're going to go in between and pick just the back loops, just like this. All right, and go to the next stitch and pick the back loops only. So this is what you are going to be doing on this row. So just keep working the back loop only until the end of this row, and I'll be right back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now. I just want to show you how I end it here before we begin the next row. All right, so you remember we begin this row with a normal single crochet on the very first stitch. So this is how you are going to be ending it here. So you are going to be putting a regular single crochet on the very last stitch here to end it. All right, so now to begin the next row, you are going to chain up 1 and turn your work to the other side, And just exactly what we did on the row 2, that is what you're going to be repeating for this row 3. Okay, so on this very first stitch here, now you're going to be putting in a regular single crochet, and on the next stitch you are just going to be going with the back loops only, just exactly what we did in row 2. So this entire top now, this entire row is going to be the repetition of what we did on the row 2. So you keep working back loops only until you get to the very end stitch, and on the end stitch you are going to put a regular single crochet just like we begin with right here. Okay, and make sure as you go you are counting your stitches. Like me, I started with a chain 30, so when I go I make sure I have 30 single crochet stitches all the way until I get to the inches I got around my bust. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera now to do that, and I will be right back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. So okay, I'm done with my length, and this is how it's looking. So I ended up doing exactly 100 rows of single crochet. All right, so your own now, I think if you've gotten to this point, you should put it around your body to see if you are okay with this size. All right, and don't forget, this stitch we are using right now stretches out, and with the different yarn type and the sizes, some will stretch even more. Okay, so make sure that you're putting it around your body to see if you are okay with this. All right, so the next step now is going to be making single crochets all around this part, and then single crochet all around this part. All right, so we need to cover the edges and make it look presentable. So to begin that, you are going to chain up 1, and on that same stitch you are going to be going in there with a single crochet right here. So you are going to be going into this next part now. Please just watch what I'm doing. Okay, you see this part that looks like a half circle? You are going to be going in there with 2 single crochets just like that, and then you are going to be going into the next one again, and then you are going to go in there with 2 single crochets, then into the next space you're going to put in 2 single crochets. So this is exactly what you are going to be doing until you get to the very end of this row. All right, so you are going to put in 1 row of single crochet. All right, and then you are going to follow it to this part, and then you're going to do 1 single crochet along this part as well, and then you're going to continue from here like this. So all around this particular top now you're going to be doing 1 single crochet down to this part, and then you're going to end it here where we begin. All right, okay, so I'm done making single crochet all around the body of the top now. So this is how it's looking. So now we are going to be working on the bottom of this top. Okay, so we are going to be doing like a lacy stuff at the bottom. All right, so this part now happens to be the part that is going to be covering your bust. All right, so to start on the bottom, you are going to chain up 3. All right, I already chained 1, then 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side just like this. So on this very first stitch now, you're going to be going in there with 1 double crochet to create a V just like this. Okay, and now you are going to chain up 2 and then skip 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and on the 4th stitch you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet, chain up 1, and on that same stitch you are going to be going in there with a double crochet. So this is how we are going to be creating it. Okay, so now you are going to chain up 2 again, and then you are going to skip 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and on the 4th one you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet, chain 1, and on that same stitch you're going to be going in there with another double crochet to create a V. So this is exactly what you are going to be doing for the row 1, All right, let me take it one more time. You are going to chain up 2, skip 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and on the 4th one you are going to go in there with 1 double crochet, chain up 1, and on that same stitch you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet to create a V. Okay, so you keep doing this until you get to the very end here, and I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1, and this is how the row 1 is looking. To begin the row 2 now, you are going to chain up 3, 1 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. So inside this first V space right here, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet to create our first V, and then you are going to chain up 2, and into the next V space, which is this space now, you are going to be going in there with a V. You know how to create the V now. Put in 1 double crochet, chain up 1, and then into that same V space you are going to be going in there with another double crochet. Okay, and then you are going to chain up 2, and on the next V space you are going to be going in there with a double crochet, chain 1, another double crochet. So that is what we are referring to as the V stitch. Chain up 2, go into the next V space and create your V. So for this row 2, this is exactly what you are going to be doing until the very end of this row. So it's just going to be the repetition of this row 2 for the entire length of the top. So you keep doing this now until you get to the length that you desire on your top. Okay. Okay, so I'm done working my rows, and I ended up putting 1 2 3 4 5 rows all together. So I'm okay with this length. But if you want your length longer, if you want the top to be a longer top, you can go ahead to keep adding more rows to your own. But as for me, this is where I'm going to stop in, because this is how the whole thing is looking. All right, so this is where we are going to be stopping this one. So the next step now is going to be making the holes where we are going to be putting our lace on. All right, so let us get into that. But first, I'm going to be tying this one and cutting off the yarn from here. All right, so we are going to begin from the very first stitch right here. That is where you're going to reattach your yarn. Then you are going to chain up 2, 1 and 2. So now you are going to be skipping just 1 stitch right here, and then on the next stitch you are going to be going in there with a single crochet, just like this. So this is our first hole. Let's just mark it to be on the safe side. All right, so now you are going to go into the next stitch with a single crochet, so that makes it 2. Then into the next stitch with a single crochet, that makes it 3. So now on this 4th stitch you are going to chain up 2 again, skip this 4th stitch, and on the 5th stitch you are going to be going in there with 1 single crochet, and then put in 2 more single crochet to make it 3. And on the 4th stitch again you're going to chain up 2, skip this 4th stitch, and on the 5th stitch again you're going to go in with 1 single crochet. So this is what you are going to be doing to create the holes. Okay, so you put in 3 single crochets, chain up 2, and then skip the next stitch and just continue putting in single crochet on the very next stitch. So keep doing that until you get to this part here, and when I get here I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right, Okay, so I'm done putting in the holes, and this is how it's looking. I ended up doing 4 single crochets before the holes, so I did it on the 2 sides. So what you are going to do now, you are going to go ahead to make a chain long enough to actually act as lace at the back. Okay, and then we are going to lace it up. I did 200 chains. I hope this 200 chains is going to be enough to actually lace the back parts up. So to chain it up, you are going to be putting your chain now into your tapestry needle, and then you are going to go into the very first stitch right here. So you are going to go from the bottom, just like this, and then you are going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, and make sure both is equal before you start lacing it up. All right, so now what you're going to do, you're going to cross it just like this. So if you want your holes for the lacing to be spacious, you go ahead to put more single crochet before the next hole. All right, it doesn't have to be 3 or 4 like I did mine. You can just do yours differently if that's what you want. Okay, me, I like the holes on this one closer together because it gives it this really beautiful look. That is why I had to make it closer together just like this. And again, when it's close together, it hides the back a bit. The back is not too open. So you go ahead to make your chains and lace it up like this. When I'm done with mine, I'll come back to show you how it's looking and what we are going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I'm done with the lacing, and this is how it's looking so far. All right, so the next step now is going to be working on the top of the top which means the chest area. All right, so on this top now, you are going to put it on your body, or if it is your mannequin that you're using, you are going to put it there to know where you want your hand to be on. Okay, so the part that is going to go like this on the hand part, that is where you're going to be putting your stitch markers. So the way I did that, I first of all, I did the count from the back to this part to measure the middle. All right, so after getting the middle, I had to put a stitch marker here and then counted the stitches. After putting it on my body, I just also had to count the stitches, because if you count the stitches, it will be better, because it is exactly the same stitch that I have here to the stitch marker in the middle. That's the same stitch that I have here to the stitch marker on the middle, and that is exactly how I created this part too. But the easier way is just to put it on your body to know exactly what you're doing. Okay, so I also used the measurement tape as well, and this is what I'm taking out for my chest area. Exactly 9 inches. Can you see that? But I will advise that you put it on your body to get your own measurements. Okay, so the next step now, we are going to be working, like I said, on the chest area. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to be doing this stitch right here. We are going to be doing it on the chest parts. Okay, so to begin that, you're going to get your yarn and reattach it where the very first stitch marker is. And then you're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now you are going to skip 1 stitch, and on the next stitch you are going to be going in there with a V. So you know what our V is now. 1 double crochet, chain up 1, and on that same stitch another double crochet. All right, and now you are going to chain up 2, 1 and 2, and skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th stitch you're just going to be going in there with a V. and then you are going to chain up 2 again, 1 and 2, and skip 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and on the 4th stitch you are going to be going in there with a V. So this is what you are going to be doing until you get to the next stitch marker, not the one in the middle, until you get here. So when I get to the end here, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing here. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row now, the row 1, and as you can see, I have just 1 stitch left before the stitch marker. So like we begin here, we did a chain 3 before putting our first V by skipping, after skipping 1 stitch. So this is the 1 stitch we are going to be skipping here, and we are just going to do 1 double crochet on where the stitch marker is to end on this row, just like this. All right, so to begin the row 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. So it's just going to be exactly what we did at the bottom. That's what we are doing here. So this chain 3 stitch now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet and a chain 1. So you are going to be going into the next V space, and then you are going to create your first V in there. And then you are going to chain up 2, and on the next V stitch you are going to be going in there with a V, and then you are going to chain up 2 again. So on this row, this is exactly what you are going to be doing. So keep doing that until you get to the end of the row 2, and I'm going to come back to show you how we are going to end it to start on the row 3. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2. All right, so to end this row, you know we started with a chain 3 stitch here. You are just going to chain up 1 after putting your last V on the last V stitch here, the chain 3 stitch. You are going to chain up just 1, and then you are going to be going into the second stitch, the second chain stitch. Okay, so from here count 1, and from the bottom count 1, and this middle stitch, that is where you are going to be doing your 1 double crochet to end this row, just like this. So if you remember how we started here, that's exactly how we are ending it here. Okay, so to start the next row, you're just going to chain up 3 again. So you're just going to be repeating exactly what you did in the row 2 now. That is exactly what you're going to be repeating on the row 3 down to the length that you want this part to be. All right. Okay, so just keep repeating it until you get to your neck area. All right, so I'm going off camera now to do mine, and I'll come back to and tell you how many rows I end up doing that will be enough for my own neck. Okay. Okay, so I'm done with the rows on top. So this one now got to where my shoulder is. All right, so now I did 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 rows. Okay, so now I'm going to be doing just 2 V stitches here and 2 V stitches here, another 2 rows to make it 10 rows for the chest area. All right, so as you can see now, I ended with 2 V's here. So what I'm just going to do to end on this row now, I'm going to chain up 1, and then I'm going to count 2 stitches, 1 2, and on this stitch right here, this chain stitch right here, I'm going to just be going in there with 1 double crochet to end this row. You know we have 2 chain stitches here. You are going to be going into the last chain stitch sorry, before the V stitch, like this. Don't worry, you will understand why I had to do it like this when we start working on the back parts. Okay, so now we are going to be doing another row just like this on this parts. So you are going to chain up 3, 1 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side just like this. So now you are going to be doing a V inside this V, and then chain up 2, And on the next V, you are going to be going in there with a V, and then chain up 1, all right, you chain up 1, and then you are going to be going into the chain 2 stitch right here to end this row, just like this. All right, so you chain up 1 and then cut off your yarn. So we are done with the front part on this side. Tie this part now. Okay, so now you are going to be coming here as well, and you are going to do exactly the same thing you just did here. So altogether now we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 rows. So you do 8 of the normal row fully, and then you do 2 that will rest on the shoulders. Okay, so let me show you how we are going to be working on the back. So I've done the first one, so it will be easier to show you what I mean. Okay, so this is how it's going to rest on the back. So we are going to be doing 10 rows of this part now. Well, I'm going to be showing you how I did this one here. You see where my stitch marker is now? That is where I'm going to reattach the yarn. And then chain up 3. 1 2 and 3. So this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet plus a chain 1. So you skip this very first stitch here. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? And on the next stitch, you are going to be making your first V there, 1 double crochet, chain 1, and on that same stitch another double crochet. And now you're going to chain up 2, skip 3 stitches, 1 2 3, and on the 4th stitch you are going to be doing your next V right there. And then chain up 1 and then skip 1 stitch. All right, and on the next stitch now, which happens to be here, you're going to be going in there with just 1 double crochet. So it's as easy as that. Okay, so now you are going to chain up 3 1 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. So like you already know, this chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet plus a chain 1. So into the next V stitch now, you are going to be going in there with a V, just like this, and then chain up 2 1 and 2. Go into the next V space now with a V, chain up 1 and another on the same space. You're going into another one, V. So now to end on this row, you are going to chain up 1, and then the chain 3 stitch you started with, you are going to be going to the middle chain stitch right there, the second one. That's where you are going to be doing your double crochet. So this is what you are going to be doing. So now you are going to chain up 3 again, and then go into the next V space with a V, chain up 2, go into the next V space with a V, chain up 1, and just do a double crochet in the middle chain stitch here. So that is what you are going to be doing until you get 10 rows. Okay, so I'm done creating both the back ends, and this is how it's looking. So a little bit of correction. In front, I had to add 2 more rows. You know, I told you to add just 2 rows of this part that is going to be resting on the shoulder. I added 2 more to make it 4 rows. All right, so from this part now to this part is 8 rows, and then there is 4 here. That's making it 12 in total. So I had to do that at the back as well. So the back now has exactly 12 rows on these V stitches. We are going to be joining the 2 parts now together, all right, to reveal our ham wool right here. Okay, so the joining method we are going to be using for this one is going to be the sewing method. Okay, so I have a long tail on this part, so let me use this part to show you how we are going to be joining it together. All right, so I have a long tail here already, but if you do not have a long tail, just get a yarn from the yarn that you've been using to work, and just put it, cut the size long enough to actually cover this part. Okay, and sew it. All right, so this is how you sew. You just go into this very first stitch and connect it with the other one. So this happened to be our first stitch, which is the second chain stitch right here. Please just watch what I'm doing. So one, and on the second stitch, that is going to be our first stitch right here. And then you're going to come back to this first stitch right here and do exactly the same thing. So make sure you're picking it from the bottom while you join. So go into the next chain stitch right here, which is the third chain stitch. Okay, and then come back here now and take the stitch right here. Always make sure you're picking the stitches from the bottom, and then go into the next stitch right here, pick it from the bottom, and make sure as you do, you're picking the stitch just immediately after the one you've done, because we want our work to align. Okay, so this is how you join together. So you go ahead now to join both your shoulders. So if you don't want to use this method, you can always go ahead to use the single crochet method or the slip stitch method, whatever you feel comfortable using. All right, but me, I'm going to be using this one. Okay, so I'm done with the sewing of the shoulders together, and this is how it's looking. You see how neat it looks? So the next step now, we are going to be working on this neck area. So to begin that, you are going to turn your work to the back parts like this. So we are going to be starting from this part right here. This is where you are going to be reattaching your yarn. So you see the stitch here where the chain 3 came out from. That is where you are going to be reattaching your yarn. And there you are going to chain up 2. 1 and 2. All right, so now you are going to be skipping this very first space, and into this space you are going to be making a V on that stitch. You know how to make the V now, what we've been doing. So chain up 1, and on that same space you're going to put in another V, another double crochet. All right, so now you are going to chain up 2, 1 and 2, and then skip the next space, and on the next you are going to be going in there with a V. Chain up 2, skip this space, and on the next you are going to be going in there with a V, just like this. Chain up 2. So this is exactly what you are going to be doing on these parts. All right, so skip the first space, and on this space you're just going to be going in there with a V. So keep doing this until you get to the regular place where you need to do the V stitches right here, and just keep doing that until you get to the end here. So when I get to the end here, I'll come back to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next. All right, so I'm done doing the very last row on the neck area, and this is how it's looking. You see how beautiful this looks? And I decided to add 3 more rows at the bottom as well. So instead of just 5 rows here, I added 3. But it's up to you. If you want your own top longer than this, you can actually continue to add more rows on your own. You know, we did 8 on this part, so I just wanted to be equal with this part. That's why I did this part. All right, so this is how the full thing is looking. Let me show you the back. So you see how beautiful it looks. If you do not want your back to be open with this, all you just need to do is remove the chains and add more rows of these parts and just sew it together to cover your back. That particular style is for people that don't like opening their backs when they wear it up. So you can actually, there is actually a solution for that particular one. All right, but so far this is how my own finished result is looking, and I've taken my time also to weave in all of the ends, and now I'm done with my own top. All right, So with this, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I do hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I did making the video. If you do, make sure to like the video and share it to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. All right. And if you've not subscribed to my channel before, please do so now. You don't want to be missing out on all these beautiful tutorials as I post on here. All right. And if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on the comment section and I will be happy to help. Okay. So until next time, bye bye.